Yeah, buddy, lightweight.
But heavy truth, listen up. Life's toughest sets aren't in the gym, they're out there in the grind. That pain you're feeling, that's the iron forging you into something unstoppable. Here, your struggle isn't a curse, it's the weapon that'll crown your glory. So tighten that grip, dig deep, and let every rep of pain build the champion inside you. Pain is proof you're pushing beyond limits. Right here, when you step into a gym, lace up your shoes for a long run, or sit down to tackle the biggest challenge of your life, pain is the raw signal that you are moving into uncharted territory where growth lives. Right here, it's the body's and the mind's way of saying you are leaving the comfort zone that has kept you the same for too long. Most people spend their days doing whatever they can to avoid that signal. Here, they soften the edges of every experience, staying well inside boundaries that feel familiar and safe. But comfort is not where greatness is born. The moment you feel the burn in your muscles, right here, the ache in your chest as your heart pumps harder, or the mental strain of facing a project that seems impossible, you are experiencing the unmistakable language of progress. Pain is a marker that you are testing your limits. Here, stretching the fibers of who you are into something stronger than before. Imagine a weightlifter grinding through the last rep of a heavy squat. His legs tremble, his breath grows ragged, and his mind screams to stop. Right here, that moment of fire in the quads is not injury. It's the body's adaptive mechanism at work. The muscle fibers breaking just enough to rebuild into something tougher. Hey, without that sensation, without that stress, there would be no growth. The same principle applies to every arena of life. When you study a difficult subject and your brain feels fatigued, right here, when you stay up late refining a skill while others sleep, when you face rejection after rejection as you chase a dream, the discomfort is proof that you are chiseling away the old version of yourself and forging something new. Pain is not a random punishment. It's a compass that points directly at the areas where transformation is waiting. Consider how the greatest athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs describe their journeys. Right here, none of them talk about an easy road line with effortless victories. They recall the days when their bodies ached, their finances collapsed, their confidence wavered. They talk about sleepless nights, harsh criticism, right here, and the fear of failure that pressed against their ribs like a vise. And they celebrate those memories because they recognize that every pang of pain was evidence of a barrier being shattered. The universe has a way of testing whether we truly desire what we claim to want. Pain is that test. It asks, are you serious enough to endure me? If your answer is yes, you pass through a threshold that few ever reach. Right here, the mind has an extraordinary relationship with pain. Physical discomfort triggers mental resistance, but the human brain is capable of reframing that signal. Instead of interpreting pain as a warning to quit, right here, you can learn to see it as a badge of honor. Endurance athletes speak of entering a pain cave, a mental space where they meet their deepest fears and keep going anyway. Right here, soldiers in elite units talk about embracing the suck, choosing to run toward hardship because they know it hardens their spirit. When you adopt that mindset, pain stops being the enemy and becomes a trusted ally whispering, right here, you're on the right path. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It takes deliberate practice to sit with discomfort rather than flee from it. You build that skill rep by rep, challenge by challenge, until the very sensation that once made you retreat becomes the fuel that drives you forward. Think about a time you truly surprised yourself. Maybe it was finishing a race you doubted you could complete, right here, or speaking in public despite crippling anxiety, or standing up for your principles when it would have been easier to stay silent. Recall the knot in your stomach, the pounding heart, the aching muscles or trembling hands. That was pain, physical, emotional, or both. And yet on the other side of that moment, you discovered a deeper layer of strength. If you had backed down the instant discomfort arose, that strength would still be hidden. Here, pain was the doorway, and you walked through it. Every future breakthrough will demand the same toll. There's also a scientific side to this truth. Muscles grow only when they are stressed beyond the normal capacity, creating micro tears that the body repairs stronger than before. Neural pathways strengthen when you tackle problems at the edge of your current ability. Here, causing temporary mental fatigue that rewires your brain for higher performance. Even emotional resilience follows the same law. Facing difficult conversations, enduring heartbreak here, or persisting after a failure literally rewires your nervous system to handle greater challenges. Pain signals that these processes are underway. It is the price of adaptation, the proof that you are not stagnant. Right here, many people try to hack their way around pain, looking for shortcuts or magic formulas. But the absence of discomfort often means the absence of growth. A workout that never makes you sweat won't transform your physique. Right here, a business venture that never risks rejection won't teach you true entrepreneurship. A relationship that never requires vulnerability won't deepen into lasting intimacy. Right here, the people who achieve extraordinary things are not those who avoid pain, but those who understand it, respect it, and even welcome it. Here they know that every ounce of discomfort is a brick in the foundation of their future strength. When you start seeing pain as proof of progress, your entire perspective changes. Right here, you stop dreading the tough moments and begin seeking them out. You volunteer for the challenging project at work because you know the long nights will sharpen your skills. You choose the harder workout right here because the lactic acid burn means you're getting stronger. You speak your truth even when your voice shakes because you know courage grows only through practice. Pain becomes less of a stop sign and more of a green light urging you onward. Each time you lean into it, you reinforce the belief that you can handle more than you once thought possible. Of course, there is a difference between productive pain and harm. True growth comes from controlled stress, not reckless self-destruction. Learning to listen to your body and mind is key. Right here, the pain of a muscle working hard is different from the sharp stab of injury. The anxiety of stretching your social comfort zone is different from remaining in toxic situations. The goal is not to suffer needlessly, but to recognize the specific discomfort that accompanies meaningful challenge. When you find that edge, stay there. That is where transformation takes place. Right here, consider how legends like Ronnie Coleman embodied this philosophy. Every colossal lift he performed was built on years of training that pushed his body to its absolute threshold. He didn't celebrate pain for its own sake. Right here, he celebrated what it signified, that he was exceeding yesterday's limits. The same attitude applies whether you're chasing a personal record, launching a business, or simply trying to become a better version of yourself. Each ache, each doubt, each moment when you want to quit is a landmark on the map to your next level. Pain also has a way of clarifying priorities. When the work gets grueling, when the stakes feel high, right here, you discover how badly you truly want the outcome. If your goal is weak or shallow, the first sign of discomfort will send you retreating. But if your goal is tied to a deep purpose, pain sharpens your focus. Here, it burns away distractions and excuses, leaving only the fire of commitment. In that sense, pain is a truth teller. It reveals whether your dream is worth the fight and whether you're ready to pay the price. Over time, here, something remarkable happens. What once felt unbearable becomes familiar. The heavy weight that crushed you months ago now feels manageable. The conversation that once spiked your anxiety now barely raises your heart rate. Right here, this is the tangible evidence of growth. Your limits have expanded. The very presence of pain at each new stage confirms that you are still evolving. Without that signal, you would know you'd stop progressing. Right here, so when you encounter pain, physical strain, mental fatigue, emotional challenge, pause and recognize what it represents. It is the undeniable proof that you are moving beyond the boundaries of the ordinary. Right here, it means you are alive to your potential, awake to the call of something greater, and willing to pay the price that few are brave enough to pay. Struggle builds the mental muscle of champions. And right here, every legendary figure you admire has walked through the furnace of adversity, carrying scars that became their strength. Mental muscle is not something you are born with. It is forged like steel. Right here, heated and hammered by the weight of obstacles. Each setback you face, each barrier that forces you to dig deeper than you thought possible, is a training session for the mind. The resistance of life functions like the barbell in a gym. Without the barbell's weight, muscles remain soft and untested. Without struggle, the mind never learns endurance, focus. Here, and the quiet confidence that comes only from fighting through difficulty. Champions in sports, art, business, and everyday life understand that the path to mastery is not paved with ease. It is built on the sweat of effort, the frustration of failures, and the persistent decision to rise again. Consider how an athlete trains. The goal is not to stay comfortable, but to progressively overload the body, pushing past the point of fatigue. Right here, in the same way, the mind grows strong only when we encounter resistance. Struggle forces you to face fears you might otherwise avoid. It demands problem solving under pressure, emotional regulation when everything feels like chaos, and patience when results are slow to arrive. These qualities cannot be read about in a book or picked up in a motivational quote. Here, they have to be earned in the field of real experience. When life knocks you down and you stand back up, when you choose to stay in the fight despite uncertainty, here you are doing mental reps that expand your capacity to handle future challenges. Every time you endure, the neural pathways in your brain adapt, rewiring you to remain calm and resourceful in adversity. Over time, right here, this builds a kind of quiet power, a toughness that does not shout but simply refuses to break. Struggle is the great equalizer. It does not care about your background, your education, here, or the advantages you may have started with. It strips away pretense and shows you who you are at your core. When the pressure mounts and plans fall apart, your true character is revealed. And in that revealing, here, you gain the chance to shape yourself deliberately. People often try to avoid hardship, believing that comfort is the reward of success. But the real reward lies in what the journey through discomfort creates inside you. Champions understand that while talent may open doors, it is struggle that keeps those doors from closing. Talent is fragile if it isn't reinforced by grit. Right here, the music prodigy who never faces failure may crumble the first time critics are harsh. The gifted entrepreneur who never confronts a collapsing deal may falter when the market shifts. But the one who has wrestled with failure, right here, who has tasted defeat and kept moving, possesses an inner steel that cannot be faked. History is filled with examples. Think of great inventors who endured countless failed experiments before a breakthrough. Each failure was not merely a step towards success, it was an act of strengthening their mental resolve. Athletes who train through injuries, artists who persist through years of obscurity, activists who stand firm in the face of opposition, all of them demonstrate that mental muscle is not a given. It is a product of facing what others avoid. The struggle itself is the classroom. It teaches patience when the timeline stretches far beyond expectations. It teaches adaptability when strategies crumble. It teaches humility when ego would rather boast. These lessons are not glamorous, right here, but they are the foundation of greatness. The process is rarely pleasant. Struggle can feel like an endless uphill climb with no summit in sight. It can isolate you, making you question your worth and your direction. Here, yet that very discomfort is what builds resilience. Just as the body strengthens by repairing micro, tears and muscle fibers, the mind strengthens by recovering from moments when you think you cannot go on. Hey, each recovery sends a signal to your psyche you are capable of more than you believed. Over time, those signals stack like bricks, creating an unshakable fortress of self-trust. You learn that you can navigate storms, right here. That temporary pain does not define you, and that endurance is not merely surviving, but growing through the trial. Struggle also clarifies your purpose. When everything is easy, you may drift without intention, right here, chasing trends or superficial goals. When life challenges you, you are forced to ask why you continue. Why keep training when the competition seems unbeatable? Why keep writing when publishers reject every draft? Right here. Why keep building when the world tells you to quit? In wrestling with those questions, you discover what truly matters to you. That discovery is priceless because it means that when you succeed, right here, the victory is aligned with your deepest values. Champions do not merely win, they win at what is meaningful to them because struggle has stripped away everything else. There is a paradox in how struggle shapes joy. Hey, the sweetest victories are those earned through difficulty because the mind remembers the climb. Think about the relief after passing a grueling exam, the satisfaction of finishing a marathon right here, or the pride of seeing a business thrive after years of doubt. That depth of fulfillment exists only because of the hardship that preceded it. Without the contrast of struggle, triumph feels hollow. Right here, the champion's smile on the podium carries the story of early mornings, aching muscles, financial sacrifices, and moments of private despair. Right here, those unglamorous chapters give weight to the celebration and inspire others to persevere. Science supports this truth. Right here, psychological studies on resilience show that moderate adversity predicts stronger coping skills and greater life satisfaction. Right here, people who encounter and overcome obstacles develop higher emotional intelligence and a more realistic optimism. Their brains become adept at stress management, releasing fewer harmful hormones during crisis. Struggle, in measurable ways, rewires the nervous system to handle pressure, proving that mental toughness is not just a metaphor, but a biological reality. Every time you confront difficulty and push through, right here, you are literally strengthening neural circuits that will serve you in future challenges. Struggle also creates empathy and leadership. Those who have endured know what it means to hurt, to fear, to doubt. Right here, that experience breeds compassion for others on their journeys. Great leaders often emerge from difficult paths because they understand the weight of adversity and can guide others with patience and authenticity. They do not merely command, they inspire through the example of perseverance. The mental muscle forged in their own trials becomes a beacon for those still in the thick of their battles. Right here, you may wonder why some people seem to crumble under struggle while others rise. The difference lies not in the absence of pain, but in the interpretation of it. Champions view struggle not as an unfair punishment, but as an opportunity. They frame obstacles as training rather than as a verdict. This mindset does not remove the difficulty, but it transforms the meaning. Right here, instead of thinking, why me? They think, why me? This is my chance to grow. That shift unleashes incredible power because it keeps the mind engaged and hopeful even when circumstances are brutal. Anyone can adopt this perspective with practice. It begins with small choices. Finishing the task you want to quit, maintaining discipline when motivation fades, finding a lesson in each setback. Each choice is a mental rep. Here, building strength you cannot see immediately but will rely on when the stakes are higher. Consider the quiet struggles that never make headlines. A single parent working multiple jobs while pursuing a degree. Here, a student learning a new language far from home. A patient fighting through grueling rehabilitation after injury. These are acts of championship spirit as profound as any gold medal performance. They illustrate that struggle is not confined to arenas or stages. It lives in daily perseverance, in the countless decisions to keep moving despite exhaustion. Each moment of persistence adds fiber to the mental muscle, here, creating resilience that benefits every aspect of life, from relationships to careers to personal dreams. Struggle also dismantles the illusion of control, teaching you to focus on what you can influence: your effort, right here, your attitude, your next step. When plans fall apart, you learn to improvise, to innovate, to stay centered when nothing else is certain. This adaptability is a hallmark of mental strength. Here, champions do not cling rigidly to a single strategy. They adjust without losing sight of the goal. Struggle forces this flexibility, making you resourceful and creative under pressure. It's the same skill that allows a fighter to change tactics mid-match or a business leader to pivot in a crisis. Over time, you may even develop gratitude for your struggles. Looking back, many people describe their hardest years as their most formative. The job loss that forced them to reinvent their career, the heartbreak that taught them self-worth, the failure that revealed a hidden talent. These experiences, though painful, became the foundation for a richer, more resilient life. Gratitude does not mean you enjoyed the hardship. It means you recognize the gift of growth it brought. Right here, the journey of building mental muscle through struggle is never truly finished. Just as physical muscles require constant training to remain strong, the mind needs ongoing challenges to stay resilient. Champions understand that complacency is the real enemy. They seek new mountains to climb, not because they love suffering, but because they value what struggle creates within them. Right here, they know that each new test is an invitation to rise again, to prove that their spirit remains unbreakable. Right here, struggle builds the mental muscle of champions because it transforms ordinary individuals into people who can face the unpredictable storms of life with courage and poise. It is the invisible training ground where character is forged and destiny is shaped. Every obstacle is a weight to lift, every setback a rep to complete, every hard day a chance to strengthen the core of who you are. Embrace discomfort to unleash hidden strength. Growth never lives in the territory of the familiar, and yet the familiar is where most people spend their entire lives. We are wired to seek warmth, stability, right here, and ease because comfort feels safe, but comfort is a silent trap. The moment you decide to embrace discomfort, you invite transformation. You begin to discover layers of resilience and power that were always inside you but dormant, waiting for a spark to awaken them. Discomfort is that spark. It is the tension in your muscles during a grueling workout. Right here, the nervous flutter in your chest before a crucial conversation, the unsettling challenge of learning a skill that seems impossible at first. Every time you lean into that edge instead of stepping back, right here, you prove to yourself that you are capable of far more than you imagined. Think about the first time you tried something new that mattered to you. Maybe it was the first day at a demanding job. Hey, we can do something right here. The first time you stepped onto stage, or the first time you approached someone you admired. Your palms sweated, your voice might have wavered, your heart raced like a wild engine. Hey, that physical reaction was not a sign you were unfit for the moment. It was a signal that you were stepping into growth. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your ally, the evidence that you are expanding beyond old boundaries. Right here, hidden strength is like a locked room within you. Comfort keeps the door closed, but discomfort is the key that turns the handle. The more willingly you walk through that door, the more resources you uncover. Courage you didn't know you possessed, creativity you hadn't tapped, endurance you thought belonged only to others. Consider athletes who push their bodies to extremes. They willingly face sore muscles, burning lungs here, and the risk of failure because they know that strength does not come from staying in the safe zone. A runner doesn't improve by jogging at a casual pace forever. They embrace the discomfort of speed work, hills, right here, and long distances because those challenges coax hidden potential from the depths of their physiology and spirit. The same is true in every domain of life. Entrepreneurs confront the discomfort of risk, of uncertain income, of constant decision-making. Artists confront the discomfort of vulnerability, of exposing their inner world to critics and strangers. Students confront the discomfort of ignorance, right here, of sitting with the frustrating gap between what they know and what they hope to master. Each act of leaning into that tension strengthens the mind and stretches the soul. Right here, what many people don't realize is that discomfort is not just a momentary hurdle, but a teacher. It teaches patience as you endure the awkward stage of learning. It teaches humility because you cannot pretend expertise when you are fumbling through something new. It teaches focus because discomfort demands attention. It sharpens every sense. Most importantly, it teaches self-trust. Here, each time you endure discomfort and come out stronger, you build evidence that you can handle the unknown. That evidence becomes an unshakable foundation for future challenges. Here, you start to look at intimidating opportunities and think, I can handle this. I've walked through fire before. Hidden strength grows from these experiences like muscle responding to resistance. There is a biological reality to this. The brain and body adapt to stress through a process called hormesis, where exposure to small, controlled stressors makes you tougher. Cold plunges, fasting, intense exercise, and even public speaking can act as these stressors. They may feel uncomfortable, but they trigger powerful adaptive responses, stronger immune function, improved focus, enhanced resilience. Your nervous system learns to stay calm under pressure. Your heart and lungs learn to deliver more oxygen during exertion. Your mind becomes more flexible and creative in the face of uncertainty. Discomfort, approached intentionally, is literally how human beings evolve. Avoiding discomfort, on the other hand, breeds stagnation. Comfort seduces with its warmth, but it quietly erodes ambition. Days blend into weeks of predictable routines, and the spark of possibility fades. Skills plateau. Dreams shrink to fit the confines of what feels easy. Right here, you might not even notice it happening until years have passed and you realize you're living far below your potential. By contrast, those who embrace discomfort live in a state of active discovery. Right here, they take the challenging job. They speak up when silence would be safer. They keep learning when others settle. Their lives are not without stress. Okay, their spirits remain vibrant and strong because they continually uncover new depths of capability. Imagine a mountain climber standing at the base of a towering peak. The summit promises breathtaking views, but the path is steep, cold, and treacherous. Choosing to climb is choosing discomfort, sore muscles, thin air, and the ever-present possibility of failure. Yet the climber ascends because within that discomfort lies revelation. Each step upward strips away weakness and reveals grit. The summit is not just a place on a map, it is a transformation of self. In our own lives, here, the peaks may be different, starting a business, writing a book, committing to a relationship, changing careers, but the principle is the same. The climb is uncomfortable. The growth is incomparable. Also reveals priorities. When things get hard, superficial motives fall away. If your goal lacks real meaning, the first gust of challenge will knock you off course. But if the purpose runs deep, right here, discomfort becomes a proven ground. You keep going because the pain is worth the outcome. Hidden strength shows itself when you discover that your reason for acting is bigger than your desire to quit. Right here, that kind of strength cannot be faked. It is forged in the furnace of struggle. There's a mental shift that happens when you choose discomfort instead of fleeing it. At first, your mind protests, right here, sending signals of fear or avoidance. But with practice, you learn to reinterpret those signals as excitement or opportunity. Public speakers often describe the jittery rush before going on stage not as anxiety, but as energy ready to be channeled. Athletes talk about loving the burn of a hard workout because it means they're improving. Here, entrepreneurs come to see uncertainty as this space where innovation is possible. This reframing is powerful. It transforms discomfort from a stop sign into a green light, from a source of dread into a signpost of growth. Here, daily life offers countless chances to practice. You can choose to have the difficult conversation instead of letting resentment build. You can choose the workout that challenges you instead of the one you could do half asleep. Here, you can speak up in a meeting where your ideas might be criticized. Each choice to lean toward discomfort is a vote for your own expansion. Over time, those votes accumulate into a life defined by growth rather than avoidance. Hidden strength doesn't appear in one grand moment. It is uncovered through 1,000 small acts of courage. This mindset even changes how you experience setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as an end, right here, you begin to see it as feedback. Discomfort after a misstep is no longer a reason to hide, but an invitation to learn. Athletes watch game footage of their worst performances to find lessons. Here, writers revise drafts dozens of times, embracing the discomfort of imperfection. Inventors iterate through prototypes, each failed attempt sharpening their insight. When you welcome this process, you stop fearing mistakes because you know each one is a step toward mastery. Embracing discomfort also strengthens relationships. True intimacy requires vulnerability, sharing fears, admitting mistakes. Right here, listening when it's hard to hear. These moments can feel awkward or painful, yet they deepen connection. Friendships and partnerships forged through honest. Right here, uncomfortable conversations have a resilience that shallow relationships lack. By stepping into emotional discomfort, you create bonds capable of weathering storms. Here, perhaps the most powerful hidden strength, discomfort reveals is self-mastery. When you repeatedly choose the harder path, you develop discipline that outlasts fleeting motivation. Right? You train yourself to act according to principle rather than impulse. Waking early to pursue a dream. Saving money when spending is tempting. Staying calm during conflict. These are acts of quiet power. Right here, they come from the willingness to sit with the urge for comfort and keep moving anyway. Over time, this discipline becomes part of your identity. You no longer need to psych yourself up to face challenges. Here, you simply meet them because that is who you are. Cultivating a life that embraces discomfort doesn't mean chasing pain recklessly. It means seeking purposeful challenges that stretch your abilities without breaking you. Here, it means knowing your limits and nudging them outward again and again. The discomfort of growth is not about suffering for its own sake. It's about choosing meaningful tests that awaken dormant capacities. Right here, whether it's learning a language, training for a marathon, or starting a bold project, the discomfort is a sign that you are alive to your own potential. Even small practices can make a profound difference. Here, taking a cold shower when you want warmth, introducing yourself to someone new when you feel shy, tackling the hardest task on your list first. Right here, these moments of deliberate discomfort act like daily workouts for the mind and spirit. They keep you agile, resilient, and ready for the bigger challenges that inevitably come. Over time, right here, you develop an almost playful relationship with discomfort, seeing it not as a threat, but as an old friend who arrives to remind you of your strength. Looking back on life, right here, the memories that shine brightest are rarely the easy days. They are the moments when you stretch beyond what you thought possible, when you felt the tension of fear and moved forward anyway. Here, these are the moments when hidden strengths surfaced, when you became someone braver, wiser, stronger. By embracing discomfort, you keep creating those moments. Right here, you keep discovering that your limits are far wider than you believed, that your capacity for growth is boundless. Right here, and that the strength you uncover in the process becomes a force no comfort could ever give you. Every setback is a rep to a future greatness. Life is a relentless trainer. Right here, and every challenge it throws at you is another weight to lift, another chance to build the strength you'll need for the next level. When you hit a wall, when the plan falls apart, right here, when a dream seems to crumble in front of you, it's easy to believe you're moving backward. But the truth is that each obstacle, each painful stumble, is a repetition that shapes your character and expands your capacity to succeed. Just like muscles grow from the tension of resistance, your inner power grows from the friction of adversity. Without those reps, right here, without those hard lessons disguised as failures, greatness would remain a distant idea instead of a living reality. Setbacks aren't detours. They're the deliberate stops where resilience is forged and perseverance is sharpened. Think of the way an athlete trains. No one expects to get stronger by lifting the same light weight forever. Progress demands strain, and strain demands heavier reps. Each missed lift and each failed attempt is not a defeat, but an essential step toward mastery. The body breaks down slightly with each rep and rebuilds stronger afterward. Life works the same way. Here, a failed business venture teaches sharper strategy for the next attempt. A rejection letter pushes a writer to refine their voice until the words resonate. A broken relationship highlights the patterns that need healing so future connections can thrive. These aren't random misfortunes. They are the invisible training sessions that condition your mind, sharpen your skills here, and build the kind of toughness that no easy win could ever provide. Greatness has always been a product of resilience. Every champion story is filled with chapters of failure that outsiders often overlook. Michael Jordan famously missed thousands of shots and lost countless games before becoming a legend. Thomas Edison endured experiment after experiment that didn't work before he lit a bulb that changed the world. Right here, entrepreneurs who build empires usually start with ventures that collapse under the weight of inexperience. Each of these moments was a rep, a chance to learn something essential. Without those reps, right here, the eventual triumphs would have been impossible. The scoreboard of greatness is not measured only by wins, but by the number of times someone chose to keep training in the face of loss. Here, setbacks teach lessons that comfort never will. Success can sometimes be a poor teacher because it hides weaknesses and makes you believe everything is fine. Failure exposes the cracks. It forces you to confront the habits, assumptions, and blind spots that hold you back. It demands humility because you can't pretend to know everything when the evidence of your limits is right in front of you. It demands patience because growth rarely follows the timeline you envisioned. It demands creativity because you must find a new way forward when the old way fails. Each of these qualities, humility, patience, care, creativity, becomes a piece of the foundation you need to sustain future greatness. There is a psychological strength that comes only from repeated setbacks. The first time you fall, the shock is overwhelming, right here. But when you fall again and again and still choose to rise, something inside you changes. You stop seeing failure as final. You start to treat it as feedback. Right here, your nervous system learns that disappointment is not a death sentence, but a signal to adapt. You begin to recover faster, to stay calmer, to think more clearly in the middle of chaos. That mental resilience is invaluable. Right here, because greatness is never a straight path. Even after reaching high levels of success, challenges will keep coming. Right here, the ability to absorb a hit and keep moving is what separates those who stay on top from those who crumble when the next storm arrives. Every setback is also a chance to test how deeply you care about your goal. Right here, when you encounter serious resistance, you face the question, is this worth it? If your dream is shallow, the discomfort will make you quit. If your purpose is deep, the pain will only harden your resolve. In that way, setbacks act like a filter, stripping away the half-hearted pursuits and leaving only the passion strong enough to carry you forward. Each time you endure, right here, you confirm to yourself that your vision matters more than temporary suffering. The confirmation becomes fuel, a quiet but powerful motivation that drives you through the next challenge. Think of a blacksmith forging a blade. The metal must be heated, hammered, cooled, and hammered again. Each strike strengthens the steel, shapes its edge, and prepares it to hold an unbreakable sharpness. Setbacks are those hammer blows. They may sting right here, but they are shaping you into something capable of cutting through obstacles that once seemed impossible. Without the repeated hammering, the blade remains brittle or dull. Without repeated setbacks, character remains fragile and untested. There is also a cumulative power in setbacks. One failure might teach you a specific skill or insight. 10 failures layer those lessons until your wisdom runs deep and instinctive. Right here, when you eventually succeed, people may call you an overnight success, but you will know the truth that every night you spent wrestling with doubt, every morning you got up after disappointment here, every small improvement after each rep was building a strength no one could see. Greatness is built in silence long before it is celebrated in public. It's important to understand that setbacks are not punishments. Here, they are part of the natural rhythm of growth, just a season cycle from harsh winters to fertile springs, life alternates between expansion and contraction, triumph and trial. The contractions are not signs you are off course. Right here, they are opportunities to regroup, to refine your strategy, to rest before the next surge. When you see them this way, the frustration of a setback becomes easier to bear. You can look at a closed door and think, I'm getting stronger for the next opening. That mindset transforms struggle into purpose. Science supports this idea. Research on resilience shows that moderate, repeated adversity can lead to what psychologists call stress inoculation. Just as a vaccine uses a small dose of a virus to build immunity, life's small defeats build mental immunity. Right here, people who have faced manageable but real challenges often handle future crises better than those who have experienced only ease. Their minds and bodies adapt, learning to stay steady under pressure. Each setback trains your nervous system like a rep trains a muscle, preparing you for greater demands. Setbacks also deepen empathy and leadership. A person who has stumbled knows what it feels like to be on the ground. Here, they understand the loneliness, the doubt, the fear. When they eventually rise, they carry with them a compassion for others still in struggle. That compassion makes them better leaders, friends, and mentors. Right here, they can guide others with authenticity, not from a pedestal, but from shared experience. The best coaches, teachers, and innovators often speak from scars rather than from untouched success. You may notice that some people seem to bounce back faster than others. That resilience is rarely innate. It's the result of repeated practice, setback after setback, rep after rep. Each time they endured, right here, they built a deeper well of courage. Over time, getting back up became almost automatic. What once felt impossible became routine. That is the hidden gift of setbacks. They transform resilience from a rare act of heroism to a natural part of your character. Even small daily frustrations count as reps. A delayed train that tests your patience, a difficult conversation you'd rather avoid. Right here, a project that doesn't meet expectations. These moments may seem insignificant, but they add up. They give you chances to practice flexibility, problem solving, and emotional control. Each small rep prepares you for bigger challenges. Just as a lifter builds strength with countless sets before attempting a personal record, you build life strength through everyday setbacks before you face defining trials. Remember that every great story includes conflict. A hero without obstacles is forgettable. What makes a narrative compelling is the struggle, the near defeats, the improbable comebacks. Your life follows the same principle. Right here, the chapters of failure will one day be the parts of your story that inspire others most. People are moved not by effortless victories, but by perseverance through difficulty. Every time you rise from a setback, right here, you write a paragraph of that inspiring story. When you start to see setbacks as reps, your entire relationship with failure changes. You no longer dread it or take it as proof you should quit. Instead, you expect it. Right here, welcome it, even respect it. You begin to measure progress not by how easy the journey feels, but by how strong you become along the way. Right here, you understand that greatness is not a single grand victory, but a lifetime of consistent effort, built one challenge and repetition at a time. Each time life knocks you down and you choose to stand back up, you are lifting an invisible weight. You are building strength that will carry you to places comfort never could. You may not feel the growth immediately, just as a single workout doesn't produce visible muscle overnight, but rep by rep, setback by setback, you are sculpting a mind and spirit capable of extraordinary things.